I've played a lot of video games in my day, and while I've enjoyed them, I get tired of how there are some aspects of games that are bad and never get any better, and we're just supposed to accept it. Perhaps the best example of this occurs in MMOs, and that's spawning. Online game worlds are filled with stuff for you to fight, but where do these creatures come from? Right out of thin air. Here's a great example, Guild Wars 2. In many ways, this is a fantastic game, and you can tell the people who made this spent a lot of time thinking about things. I mean, here's something I just love. You know how most games these days start with an endless series of logos, showing the game studio, the publishers, the physics middleware, blah blah blah. Guild Wars 2 doesn't make you sit through any of that. You click play on a launcher and instantly you're taken right here to the character selection screen. But the coolest part of this game is this elaborate event system, where NPCs in the world start doing things on their own. Like these rat men called Skrit who are deciding to plunder a nearby laboratory. The outcome of these events is determined by whether or not players join in and how well they do it. And then the state of the world will actually be different based on that outcome. That's really cool. So the game makers have gone to a lot of trouble to make a game world that seems alive and real. But then you get the same old spawning creatures, and all that feeling of a real world goes away, as you're constantly reminded you're just playing some cheesy video game. If you don't know what I mean, here's an example. Here I am looking for a way to climb this tower, and here's Ghosty McGhosterton standing over there in my way, so I start blamming him until he dies, or whatever happens to ghosts when they take enough punishment. Now I'm looking for a way up, scoping out the territory, and whoop! Now another ghost has appeared right in the same spot. Where did he come from? Okay, so maybe that's not so bad for a ghost. But look, here I am fighting these kind of armored hamsters called Dredge. I have to wipe out a whole bunch of these guys because that's what you're always asked to do in these games, commit small-scale genocide. But I can't really take out any of these guys because look, as soon as you take them out, they're back again. I think there's more of these jerks standing here than when I started. And here's me fighting Etans. I swear, this guy's replacement spawned in before I'd killed the first guy. It's like those poor Disney employees who had to train their replacements before they were fired. I mean, what the heck's going on? And here's me fighting a wolf who can howl to summon help. But does he summon one of the wolves who are already standing nearby? No, he pulls out a buddy from a dimensional void or a warp gate or something. And I love this. I've been asked to commit atrocities against this camp of ogres. So I've been killing ogres and destroying their weapons and so on. But look, a new rack of weapons appears from nowhere. I love that swirl of pixie dust as it appears, like the ogre camp has some kind of fairy godmother. That tells me the Guild Wars guys know how ridiculous this all is. And this is not a new problem. Since the days of EverQuest and World of Warcraft, mobs have been spawning out of nowhere. Game designers have been pouring larger and larger budgets into MMOs, making amazing improvements in graphics and gameplay, all to help players believe in the game, to be immersed in the game's reality. Spawning kills that immersion. We need something better. Look, I'm not saying that fixing this would be easy. If we're going to have a persistent world with bad guys who are killed, then the game has to have some mechanism for adding new bad guys to the world. I get that. But maybe the new guys could come from elsewhere, some place players can't easily get to. Or maybe they spawn, but only when no one is anywhere nearby to see it. That might lead to a game where mobs are tougher to kill, but grant a lot more experience. And then, when some NPC says he'd like you to thin out the ranks of his enemy, you'd actually be able to thin them out and have them stay that way, at least for a while, instead of this absurd Sisyphean ordeal players go through now. Someone out there making games, please, fix this.